Earlier this year, we launched a new series of compact prismatic riflescopes. Very, very unique and very different to anything else we've done. So we're going to really take our time to talk about what these are all about and the features they offer. We're calling this family of riflescopes the Immersive Series and are offering 3 models. A 5x30 with a standard 85mm eye relief and 2 short eye relief models designed specifically for air guns and rimfires, a 10x40 and a 14x50. In this video, we're going to run through the 5x30. We're going to leave the 10x40 and 14x50 to a separate video because they are very, very different. But before we get into that, let's take some time to talk about prismatic scopes in general. What are they and how do they work? To explain a bit better, we took apart a whole Immersive Series scope. We're going to look at the inner workings and compare it to a more traditional scope like the Titan. You'll see that the majority of the inner components are very similar. We have an objective assembly, we have a parallax cell which moves forward and backwards to focus the incoming light on the first focal plane. We have turret assemblies, we have illumination, reticles, and an eyepiece. The big difference is that a traditional riflescope like the Titan, Helix, or Nexus, or even Theos, has an erector tube which houses the zoom cells and actually moves inside your riflescope to allow you to dial the turrets and actually shift your reticle. At the rear of the erector tube, you have a gimbal which holds it in place but allows it to swivel in any direction. And in the front, you'll have an elevation turret and a windage turret pressing on the erector tube and an erector spring in the opposite side, holding it firmly in place and allowing it to move back when the turrets retract. And that is how everything moves when you dial. A prismatic scope doesn't have an erector tube. Instead, it has a prism. This still has a gimbal joint, it still has a reticle attached, and it still has turrets which move it around, but instead of the light having to pass through a bunch of small lenses, which are all in a row, the light bounces around inside the prism before exiting the other side. This basically allows for a far more compact optical system, and that's how we're able to keep these scopes so tiny. Now you know. Looking first at the 5x30 model, we've got a larger eyepiece and a small objective. It looks almost like a little LPVO, and you would use it for similar purposes to what you might use an LPVO for, but with some differences. This is a fixed magnification riflescope with a very respectable field of view. 33 feet at 100 yards to be exact. Compare that to a more traditional riflescope like the Titan, which at the same magnification has a field of view of 24 feet at 100 yards. That's a 37.5% increase for this little guy. It's kind of a big deal. Moving forward from the eyepiece, we've got the turrets, we've got the parallax, and we've got the push button illumination. The turrets are capped low profile turrets. Beneath the cap, you've got 6 mils or 15 MOA per revolution, and these turrets are resettable. Total elevation and windage travel is 83 MOA, although you probably won't be dialing these turrets much anyway. You're going to be zeroing them, and then you're going to want to use the reticle for most of your shooting. Parallax is very smooth and goes from 6 meters or yards to infinity. Many prismatic scopes do not have parallax at all, so this is an awesome feature. And right next to that, we've got a very compact, small and discreet illumination button. It works very similar to the Theos illumination. You hold it in to switch it on, and then you can press it quickly to cycle through 6 brightness settings. Talking about reticles, we've designed a whole new family of reticles specifically for this model. These are the LPR reticles, designed by Ilya Koshkin, also known as the Dark Lord of Optics. LPR stands for Low Power Reticle, and these have been optimized for this magnification. There are 2 variants, the LPR 1D MRAD, which has subtensions in milliradians, and the LPR 1D BDC. The MRAD version is paired with MRAD turrets and is more versatile in the sense that it can be used on any rifle as long as you have your firing solution in MRAD. I've been using this reticle a ton, and it's quickly becoming one of my all-time favorites. The BDC variant is paired with MO8 turrets with hold points specifically set up for 5.56 NATO or 223 Remington, all the way out to 600 yards, with a ranging scale below and outer hold points in MOA. If you have an AR-15, this one may be for you. You'll be happy to know that we actually have these reticles on the database of the Element Ballistics app, which is available to everyone. So let's say you have the BDC reticle on a rifle other than a 5.56, and you want to know what your drop is going to be at your different hold points. You can simply create a ballistic profile, plug in your data onto the app, and you can see on an image on the app exactly what distance each of those hold points coincides with. The scope comes with a one-piece mount that is tilt adjustable from 0 to 80 MOA. Obviously that's more than you'll ever need, especially for this scope where you're not going to be doing extreme long-range shooting, but it's there if you want it. The mount also has a small accessory rail, and you can fit this anywhere along the ring. The idea is that you can put a red dot sight on top of the scope if you want to use a red dot sight, just in case you find yourself in a situation where you need to quickly put it to your shoulder and take a shot. And obviously if you want to shift this 45 degrees or 90 degrees to the side, that's also an option. With ED glass, compact form factor, a really wide field of view, and intelligent reticles, there is so much to like about the 5x30. In a separate video, we'll be running through the 10x40 and 14x50 and discussing what makes the short arrow leaf design so interesting. Check out the links in the video description below if you want to learn more, or visit element-optics.com for more information. See you next time.